a kind of a seven layered approach on each and every important concept. First thing. Second thing is you're supposed to send me a recorded audio every day on tell me about yourself. That's it. Sorry, you're saying something. If no questions, I'll continue. Okay, I'm coming to the subject, right? So yesterday we discussed about the cloud computing. I already mentioned like so cloud computing is a kind of a theory or a concept, okay, like where you are sharing the resources and making a business out of it. It is just like a renting. You build a home, okay. There are like so many portions are there, but you are using only a three-bedroom portion and one kitchen and maybe like a three bathrooms, right? So other than this area, the entire home is kind of a free. Okay, you don't know what to do with that. So then the people thought like, okay, why don't we give it for the rent to others? Okay, by taking like a certain precautions, like separating each and every unit as a flat. That's how a kind of an apartment culture came into the picture. Even in the real estate, like they separated like one single unit into multiple floors, and they sold like each and every individual unit to a different kind of people. Okay, the same thing. If you are renting it out, if you are renting it out, then it's called kind of sharing and making a business. And selling is a different thing, and renting it out is a different thing. The cloud computing comes under renting business. Okay, I'm having excess infrastructure, I'm renting it out. So yesterday we discussed about like what are the advantages and what different kind of with the different kind of examples we discussed. Okay, maybe I cannot go back to all these examples, but ready if you have any questions, definitely I can help you on this one. But in simple terms, cloud computing is a shareable service, okay, of infrastructure. That can be your RAM, that can be your hard disk, that can be your what I can say, the execution capabilities or like a processing capabilities. Okay, all these capabilities you are giving to the startup companies, you are giving to the users so that they can build their own businesses on top of it. Okay, so the major providers in cloud computing are Amazon, AWS, and Azure and GCP. These three guys are a kind of like key players in the market right now, and AWS is always in the number one stand, and followed by Azure and followed by GCP. Okay, so now today we are going to see uh, the kind of what I can say, like what are the deliverables out of this cloud computing? What do you mean by deliverables? Okay, till this point, any questions, guys? Before moving into today's class, it's okay. Any silly question? Okay. And one more thing, make a habit of asking a question, at least one every day. Every person, one question. Fine. So for any product, right? For any product. So if you take of a example of a store, maybe what is the best store I can say? Maybe a lifestyle. Okay, a lifestyle store. What is a lifestyle store will sell you? It will sell the clothes. Okay, maybe some shoes or maybe kind of leather items. So ultimately, lifestyle is in a store which will give you a kind of a cloths or like a maybe accessories related to your like stylish components. Okay, that can be an accessories or that can be cosmetics or anything. So those kind of an items lifestyle will sell. But if you come into the more, it will or like it will provide to the customers kind of a day-to-day groceries or milk or cheese or like a curd. Okay, or maybe like maybe some kind of utility items. But if you go to the Bajaj Electronics, it will give you a kind of an electronic items. So the same way, each entity or each kind of a service will deliver something to its users, right? The same way, cloud computing concept, or think it as a store, what it is offering, there are three different kind of services it's offering. Okay, just like maybe I took example of lifestyle, right? So it's lifestyle is offering kind of a clothing, maybe cosmetics, then come to the maybe stylish accessories, like three offerings or three different kind of products. Same way, cloud computing also offering three different kind of name. products, or maybe I can say services. Service means what? It's kind of funny. Service, for example, like see, there is a difference, guys. Service, product. Product means just you will buy this thing and you will own it. Service is not like that. You will take that one and use it and pay for it. That is what the difference, right? So you will use it and you will buy that and you will use it. As long as you use it, and that's it. Okay. So the amount whatever you are paid, you will get such level of service. Just like urban club. I don't know how many of you are aware of the urban club. So what kind of a service they will provide? Maybe cleaning services, or like a grooming services, or kind of a plumbing services, different services, right? Same way, cloud computing also offering three different kind of services. So why I'm stressing much on this thing is very, very important to understand. Please make a note of it. Cloud computing, there are three different kind of offerings. Okay, software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. If anyone is talking about cloud computing, you're supposed to understand these three platforms. Okay, or maybe I can say these three services. Now, so what are these? So what kind of a service are this thing? Software as a service. Okay. So anyone able to relate these wordings, or like anyone able to frame your own explanation on top of it? Or have you seen anyone like in the existing market? Because every day we are using this service. Some people are paying for it, some people are not paying for it. Okay. So now let's see further. So basically, even like few people will call it as an SAS, or like even someone call it as an SaaS. Okay, not the SaaS. SaaS is a different kind of software available in the market, but this is only service. Okay, so better you call it as a software as a service. So I don't want to read this entire statement, but like what I can put over here is whatever the service they built it as a software. Okay, for example, what I'm saying, from tomorrow onwards, I'll provide you a Google form or something where you can post your questions, or like maybe you have to put like your what I can say, the explanations, whatever you build, the seven layered explanations, right? So what is that exactly I'm doing? I'm giving you a software. I'm giving you a kind of an application where simply you're using. You don't bother like how to build that, or you don't bother how to design it. Nothing. I am giving a service, okay, where you are going to use it. That's it. Who are going to take care whether the service is available, or whether the service is like going down, or like going down in sense like it's not opening or something, it's not usable. Okay, you least bother with all these things. As long as you are having internet, it has to work, right? The best example is Gmail. The best example is Google Drive. The best another example is a Facebook. Okay, the another example is like a Twitter. All these are kind of a software as a service. Maybe I won't use like the Facebook. Maybe for the few people only Facebook and Twitter works as a software as a service. But the Google Drive, Dropbox, Netflix, for sure, these are called a software as service. Right. So here you need to understand three particular scenarios. One is you are not building it, you least bother how it is designed, how it's functioning, and what if like if it is not available. Okay, you least bother with it, right? As long as you are having internet and you are using it. And second thing is cost. It's all depends how much usage you're going to have. If you take an example of a Google Drive, right? If it's up to 15 GB, it's free. You're not paying a single penny for that. After that, you are paying for it. Based on your usage, you are paying for it. And the third thing is you are not at all responsible for the maintenance of it. Right. Means yeah, as long as like you are having internet, you are just using it. You least bothered about like whether it's available or not. So three things. Okay. So one thing is again I'm repeating. Software as service means it's kind of a software which is given to you to use without knowing anything in the background of it. Okay. The best example I can say a Google Drive or a Dropbox. Any questions? So like this, there are so many applications which were built on a SaaS. Okay, so these are the basic things, right? Like everyone is using. That's the reason, like I took the example of those two, Google Drive and Dropbox. The next one, platform as a service. So what is the meaning of platform as a service? So, for example, okay, so don't think in this all these lengthy statements, but like what I can put in the other way. When you are talking about the platform as service, I am giving you a platform. You build your own thing. Like I am giving you a kind of an operating system, and I am giving some servers for your databases, and you build whatever you want. I don't care. Just like you went to a drawing competition, right? And when you enter into drawing competition in the lobby, they will give a kit. Okay, that kit will have some papers, some kind of pencils, and some color marks, or like whatever you call it, like crayons or whatever. They will give entire thing, okay, for you, okay, to build something. And they don't build it for you, they won't draw it. You're supposed to draw by using all those things. Means what exactly I'm doing? I'm giving a platform. On top of it, you do like whatever you can do. Okay, so what is the best example? Maybe our IACS is the best example. Why? Because I am giving a platform. You design a kind of a code on top of it to perform your business activities. Like I am giving you a kind of a system where you're supposed to write the code and deliver something. Guys, I'm sometimes like I may looks I mean my statements may looks funny, but like because I'm going like a very with the basic examples, okay. So but like so even though if you're having any question, please ask that thing, because understanding PaaS, SaaS, IaaS is very important. Okay, here there are some responsibilities, okay, for the people who are giving this service to you. What are those responsibilities? You need not to worry about the operating systems. You need not to worry about the server space. You need not to worry about like availability. Okay, what is your responsibility? You need to manage the data on top of it, whatever you're going to put it. You need to manage your own code, whatever you're going to build it. So the responsibilities will differ from service to service. In SaaS, in software as service, you are not even bother about any kind of a thing about that software. Only try to see how you can best you can use that. But coming to platform as service, you have to take care of your code. You should know how to use these things. You should know like how to draw the things on the paper by using crayons. And when you come to the like a software, right, you should know how to use that softwares which are built on top of it. Without knowing that, you cannot operate the PaaS systems or services. The last one is infrastructure as a service. Means in this case, right, you need the kind of the infrastructure like when you're talking about the operating system, right? Underlying every operating system, there will be one server. Even for database, also it's same thing. So underlying infrastructure, okay, that can be hardware, hard disks, or that could be like networks, or that could be processors, or that could be any kind of external storage device also. So all these things are managed by using like in a infrastructure as a service. But what exactly you are responsible on top of it? You are responsible for installing the operating systems, okay, or like installing the softwares, or like maintaining the data. All these things you are responsible. Okay, but only what like for example, AWS is providing a SaaS application. For example, I'm just trying to compare all these three. AWS or like a GCP is providing a SaaS application. What is a SaaS application? Google Drive. You need not worry about anything. Just place your stuff. That's it. You pay the monthly amount. That's it. Subscription amount. That's it. Coming to PaaS, so Google platform is providing a kind of maybe a I'm not exactly sure like what is a Google offering on GCP side, but if you take an example of like AWS, right? AWS is providing so many platforms, like even the DevOps supporting platforms are like maybe Redshift or like a Aurora. All these things are like kind of offerings. Okay, so on top of it, you are going to manage the data and you are going to use it and you are going to create the indexes, everything. So they are giving you a platform, but on top of it, you have to manage the data. And infrastructure service, the same AWS can provide you virtual machines. AWS can provide you a kind of network topology where you can make sure like your data is like secured. AWS can provide you a kind of not operating system I can say, but like I can say a kind of a processing power, because when you're using AWS for gaming, right, you definitely need like a high processing power. But when you're using the AWS just to run a simple static website, you don't need that much of capacity or like the powerful processors, right? So that's all depends like what is the your usage. But AWS do provides the kind of a processing capacity. So that may goes to even 1 terabyte of RAM also it might go. Okay. But coming to the hard disk, there is no limit at all. Okay. You can go into petabytes also. Now let's see. What are the different kind of offerings? Okay, maybe the same thing I explained with my own examples, but if you look at this, right, SaaS enablement. So basically, in the basically here I'm in this slide I'm comparing. So the marketplace, so SaaS is available like whatever the operator or like service provider you take. Even you take like AWS, even you take like Azure, even you take like GCP. Okay, any service provider, they're having their own marketplace, right? So it's kind of selling the things. Like you wanna go for a Google Drive, go for it, pay so and so. You wanna go for like maybe Google Photos or like maybe if you look at that like Amazon AWS side, right? You wanna subscribe for the Prime Video or you wanna subscribe for the Netflix. So these are the different kind of offerings from their marketplace. Okay, so this is a custom packaging based on your purchase. Okay, they are having like a separate kind of packagings for you. Okay, and if you really want to go for like a 1 terabyte drive, you have to pay more. If you want like only 100 GB, pay very less. Okay, and the kind of CDN and the DNS, these are the networking things. So obviously you need not to choose these things. They are already built on it. Okay, and those things are like a very premium one. Means the security is like a very high. You need not to worry about the thing. And built-in billing, someone need not to follow with you or you need not to follow with them. Based on your usage, automatically your card will be deducted. You need not to worry much about that. The kind of the usage. Based on the usage, you will get deducted. The best example, okay, maybe you might not aware, even I didn't aware, I never use these things. Okay, the cloud scripting, WHMCS and cloud blueberries and Verizon, these kind of applications are like maybe softwares, right? So I never used personally, but the best thing I can say is Amazon Prime, Netflix. Even like if you think about uh, what I can say, the Google Drive, okay, Gmail, all these things are kind of SaaS enablements. Any questions, guys? Okay. Okay. That's okay. I'll come to that. Yes, okay. Maybe once I pass through this like a PAS, right, then I'll come to that. So coming to that PAS, basically this is used for the app developments. Means if I want to build an app, okay, I will provide like a being AWS guy. What I will do from AWS, I'll give you a kind of an operating system, a databases. Now I'll ask you, okay, now you can go ahead and use whatever the purpose you want. My purpose is app development. Okay, I will use the app development. Next, like see, so all these things like what I've listed, right? Auto scaling, CI/CD automation, container, right? So for all these things, I need to have a platform that is provided by the PaaS service, okay, or like a platform as a service. The best examples are GitHub, Kubernetes, GitLab, Docker. Here, one thing you should make a note: GitHub. Okay, just try to understand and make a note, stress on this one, and come up with a 7 layered structure. GitHub, just Google it. Okay, you will understand because every project is using GitHub nowadays. Okay, just try to have a better idea on this one. And I'm not asking to like do kind of a thorough research, but like do that at least that 7 step thing and ask the questions if you have any. And next, the last one as infrastructure as a service. For example, I don't want to depend on any service provider, okay, like a cloud service provider to restrict on operating systems, right? What I need to do, I am about to start a startup, okay? That startup, I don't know like what operating system I need to use. So what I am requesting the service providers from AWS or like maybe GCP or like Azure, right? I'm asking just give me service as IaaS. That is infrastructure as a service. What does it mean? I'm only looking for a space like maybe 1 terabyte space of databases, 1 terabyte of space of like a file storage, and I want like a maybe 100 GB of RAM, and I want like a server which is having almost like a 1 terabyte space. On top of it, whatever I want, I will install. Okay, I don't want any kind of an operating system. I don't want you to define the network topology. I don't want to define anything. Normally, who will go with this kind of approaches? So, kind of, for example, like if I'm going with the banking industry, okay, I would like to start some financial organization. For this financial organization, I don't know like what exactly I need to start right away, and I do have an idea. My existing on-premise systems. Note this point also. On-premise systems. Just write it down. My on-premise systems are having maybe 50 GB of data, and maybe it's having like a 1 GB RAM. Okay, maybe some kind of a storage space. But I would like to come to cloud. There, I need to have the same configuration. On top of it, I will build my own. You got my point, Shirisha? So that is what like we are trying to build here in a infrastructure as a service. The best examples for this is like the OpenStack, KVM, CPH, because these are the things normally the generic user will not be aware of these things. Okay, trust me. Even I never heard these things. Okay, but the thing is normally what as a user we will deal with is a PaaS and a SaaS, software as a service. That's I mean IaaS infrastructure as a service. Normally, the kind of infrastructure guys in every company there will be a team. Those guys will have an idea on this part. So don't focus much on these things. What you can focus on these slides are kind of what is a SaaS. Just make a note of it. What is a SaaS, and what are the best examples for this thing? Okay, just make a kind of a slide or something. PaaS, platform as a service, try to understand what are the best examples. Okay, as part of that, try to understand the GitHub. What is the GitHub? Okay, and IaaS just try to understand like simple thing. You are least bothered about a kind of an uh, operating systems, what kind of a databases you are going to use, what kind of a network topology you are going to use. Only worried about the infrastructure. Then service provider will give you the solution. You get it right? So focus on SaaS, PaaS, IaaS in the definition perspective. Try to understand what are the best examples for SaaS, what are the best examples for PaaS, specifically GitHub. Okay, for our purpose, we need the GitHub, and if you get a time, so just make a mark on CI/CD also. Anyway, I'll discuss about the CI/CD in our class, but like GitHub, just make a note. What- Okay, right. Right. See, it's a maybe think in this way. Okay, you are the owner of a company. Okay, and you want to establish that company, but you don't have anything. You have to purchase a computers, right? You agree? You have to purchase like maybe 10 computers, but you don't have that much of budget. Not only 10 computers. I'm just giving a simple example, but really, if you really want to establish a business, you need a servers. You normally won't maintain the data in the laptops. You need to buy a big servers, right? You don't have money to invest that much because each server costs you $1 million. It's not that easy. And second thing, I don't have any guys to maintain it because if I want to maintain those big servers, right, I definitely need to recruit more people to maintain itself. And third thing, I need to maintain proper security. Right. So, do I really need to focus on these things or do I need to focus on my business concept? I do have some business concept, maybe it's a blah blah blah, whatever it is. But if I am focusing on maintaining the servers, buying the servers, or like a kind of recruiting the people to manage them, it's kind of a waste of money as well as waste of my time. What I will do, I'll ask AWS, hey guys, I need so much capacity of server, I need so much processing power, I need so much, what I can say, kind of a RAM or something, whatever you can call it. No, PaaS is different. You don't even think of a servers, you don't even think of a network, you don't think of a RAM. What you will ask is, hey, I need a platform. That's it. Right. So what you will say, hey, I'm trying to build an app. I want like a maybe I don't know how to build the app, but like what I will ask is, I need like a so and so Java framework, or maybe like some .NET framework, or I need some database, and simply they will give it to you, and now you play around. Okay, it's next level of easy of usage, and the top level is SaaS. You don't even bother about anything. You just ask, hey, I want to place my files where I want to place. Then you will search in a Google, or like maybe in somewhere someone will suggest you, hey, use my Dropbox, or use my Prime Video, or use my Netflix. You can watch the videos. Okay, or use my Dropbox. You can save the videos. It's a kind of a kind of a software toolkit readily available in the market. That is the basic difference. All Eclipse, right? So, but like Eclipse supposed to be an offering. When you are asking the guys, okay, AWS, right? So I want to build a kind of a Java framework or something. Then they will build that Eclipse on one of the operating system and they will use it. Providing that service is a pass. Am I clear, Shirisha? And don't think Eclipse is a software. Again, I'm saying Eclipse is a software. Okay. And providing that as a service on AWS is a PaaS. Always try to understand this point. Even IaaS also, when I'm saying like a server, right? Server means what? It's kind of a hardware. Hardware is not an infrastructure, I mean, IaaS service. Providing that hardware as a service. When I'm saying as a service, what? As much as you use, as much as you pay. That's it. That is a service. That's the reason in the first example itself I mentioned. Product is different, service is different. When you are taking a product, it's your own. Okay, for example, Eclipse, the same example, whatever you said, Eclipse. Buying a Eclipse license is a product. Using Eclipse as a service means I am using Eclipse only for 2 hours today. Just pay for 2 hours. But licensing is a different thing, right? You are completely owning that product. Uh, am I clear, guys? Shirisha, you sounds like you have a question. Any question or can I move ahead? That's okay. You can ask the questions 100 times. See, the only advantage asking the questions, right? The same seven layered structure. Okay, no question is waste, or like no question is a silly, or no question is like people will laugh. Even the other people will get a different thought, different angle of understanding the thing. Okay, so I don't want to stress much. So I'm moving ahead. Next, so is that really that easy, or is that really very much useful, the cloud computing? Yes, it is, but we do have some concerns also. What is the concern? Security. Okay, so what is the why security is concerned? So it's just like a traveling in a bus, buying your own ticket, right? So every person will buy his own ticket. No one is going to interfere each and every individual. But still, there is some risk. You guys agree? Like how? Maybe the data, whatever you are having, right, is managed by AWS. Means AWS can see the data, right? What if maybe in India we don't care much about our data because people will start selling our data to different people. Once you put it in any query in Google, your number will be pushed to a different kind of a people, and so many people start calling you to take a loan or to buy something. But the data is like a very sensitive, and data is very crucial. They are not supposed to do that. It's a data theft, right? So, but you are putting your valuable data or like you're putting a kind of a very very sensitive information in AWS cloud. That means at least AWS employees can read the data, or AWS users can read the data. There is one incident happened long time back in AWS itself. The AWS resource sold that I mean, the bank customers' data to the third party. It was like a big issue. Okay, later they corrected it. Okay, it's not like, I mean, later they come to know it is because of lack of network protocols from the client, not because of IWS. Okay, that's how they gave a kind of a conclusion on that part. But still, that is a risk, right? As long as you don't know how to apply the network protocols on cloud, it's going to be very very serious thing, because the same thing is used by multiple people. If you don't follow your network thing properly, your firewalls properly, obviously there is a chance of breach. But when compared to the on-premise systems, right, those on-premise systems are like completely on your premises. Like, what does that mean? No one is able to come into your premises. But when it's a shared, anyone can interfere with that. So what you supposed to do? You're supposed to have a kind of very high layered, or maybe a kind of a strong layered firewalls where other person cannot interfere with your data. Okay, so that's the reason. So the data, whatever we are putting into the cloud, right? Every data must encrypt it. Okay. Specifically, if it is sensitive data like SSN or Aadhaar card number or your telephone numbers, date of birth, all these things are called sensitive data. Just mark on this word, sensitive data. Okay. Very very key thing. So whatever the data you are pushing into a cloud must be encrypted. Okay. The only reason is, okay, the data, there is a chance of data breach in cloud. Okay, so that's the reason. So sensitive, I mean, security is a kind of a key thing as part of the cloud computing. Yep. So for example, my phone number is maybe 1234. But when I'm trying to put this data, right, so into my databases, right, so the database has to put this data by using like a encryption standards. Encryption in the sense like you are trying to put the data with a kind of a security protocols. Okay, maybe there's different kind of approaches even for that. For example, instead of putting like a 1234, what I will do is like I will mask this data. Okay, or no, no, not the password. The password is a different one. Yeah, maybe password is also one of the sensitive information. That is one of the example I can say. Okay, so but like the actual encryption is uh, okay. For example, I am having my data. Okay, so my data is in maybe, yeah, password is one of the example I can say. My data is in maybe one notepad, but the notepad, when I'm putting into the cloud, right, I'll encrypt that notepad. Okay, there are like different kind of like keys. Okay, so there is a public key and private key concept. So whenever I'm putting this data, right, I will put this data with certain key. Now I'm talking about the file. I'm not talking about the data inside of the file. Always try to understand. Okay. I'm talking about the encrypting a file. So unless the third person, if he have the decryption key, he cannot open this data. Okay, the example someone gave, right? So encrypted with a password. That is one of the solution. Okay, unless you have the password, you cannot open it. But the same encryption can happen with the public and private keys also. Means public key is the one everyone will have it, but private key only the person who is intended to get that receive that file. Only he will have that file. If the both the things are matching, then only the file will open. That is a one level of encryption. Second level of encryption, okay, you have to think in the terms of data also. For example, I'm sending my data, my phone number, my data birth, right? I will mask this data. Okay, I will mask this data and I'll send it into the cloud. Okay, but whenever I'm masking it, I have to create a kind of a reference number also to decrypt the data. You guys agree? So, but like, see, always, right? So, for everything, there should be some kind of protocols. The reason is, if you don't have protocols, everyone will have their own standards, and everyone will maintain their own kind of security levels. But the kind of a freedom of usage of the data or freedom of moving the data from one business to another business is very, very difficult. There's a reason if you observe the car, there are some protocols in India, right? When you are building the cars for Indian roads, always you're supposed to build the engine on left side. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Okay, left or right? Maybe on right side, right? Yeah. On the cars, you have to build that steering wheel on the right side of your car. But because this is a kind of a protocol or it's kind of a regulation, okay. But when you go to US, your steering wheel will be on the left side, right? Because the cars, whatever built for the US roads, will not work in India. Okay, but the cars whatever built in India, right, will work in UK because we all are like kind of a right side dimensional guys. Like we will have our steering on right side. It's a protocol of building a car. Same way to encryption also, there are certain protocols. That organization name is Trusted Computing Group. So trusted computing group, they will keep on change their policies and regulations, okay, to make sure they are aligned with the current competition or like the kind of a breaches, whatever is happening, right? To overcome those breaches, every time they keep updating themselves, and every vendor, every cloud provider, every data maintainer has to follow the same guidelines or else there is no kind of a what I can say, there is no level of comparison or there is no level of comparison with any given standard. So always you're supposed to have one standard. With that standard only people will try to trust the business. Okay, so just don't need to remember this thing, no one will ask you, but just for your information. And even in the cloud, even the government organizations, like maybe I don't say it's a NASA, but like the US government, okay, for example, even they want to use the cloud. So are they really going onto the cloud? Yes, they do. Okay, US government do place their data on cloud. Okay, so specifically on Azure, they are maintaining their data. Okay, but how they are maintaining? They are having their own guidelines. So most of the people will continue on the TCG, okay, the guidelines. But like there are some chances, even the governments, okay, maybe Indian government will have their own guidelines, and US government will have their own guidelines, and the regular businesses will have their own guidelines. Okay, so maybe TC is one of the kind of a standardized one, just like an ANSI in SQL. Okay, so TCG is a kind of security. So maybe you can mark these things to keep the confidentiality of data, administrative and legal control should be prevented. So always, I'll come to this part why I highlighted here. So basically, the reason of maintaining the data I mean, very secure are for two things. One is whatever the banking industry nowadays, right? So it has to align with the RBI guidelines. You agree? Every banking transaction, every banking organization is supposed to be aligned with the RBI. So who is the RBI? It's kind of an administrative thing for the banking, and they're supposed to align with the legal also. Okay, the legality also they have to maintain the data. For yesterday I explained one of the example. For example, today I came out of a ICICI bank as a user, but still they're supposed to maintain my data at least for 30 years. Okay, so like that, legality also plays a key role in maintaining the data. Those 30 years, they should not expose the data to any person. Those many years, they have to maintain the data and administrative data. Like RBI will maintain certain guidelines, okay, in terms of data. If they are not following it, they will be sued, okay, in a court. So the best example, State Farm, it happened. They didn't maintain the standards. It's not like the data got breached. They didn't maintain the standards, and they got sued for like almost like a $1 billion. Okay, so these are the some examples. Maybe you try to remember these things so that you can put these experiences as part of your resume. Okay, so these are the kind of a real time maybe incidents. What I can say. Okay, you can put like in the interview panel. Any questions, guys? Till now. Any questions? Yes, they can. But they do have certain guidelines and protocols. Okay, it's not like okay, every person can open the data, right? They do have their own guidelines. Even if you take an example of SBI Bank, so TCS is a vendor for them. Yes, TCS people can view the data. So, but they do have certain guidelines. They do have like the person who are entering into the project, right? They will do like all background checks. The person who is entering into the secured way, right? They are not supposed to carry their mobiles. So they do have, yeah. See, basically that is not a breach. That is expected. Without seeing the data, how you protect the data? Okay, so there is no chance of it. But the kind of a standard, I mentioned TCG, right? Even the AWS has to follow the TCG guidelines. I don't know whether you observed or not in the organization, normally the CMM level 5, CMM level 3, right? So why those certifications for the companies? Because they have to align with the certain guidelines. Then only they will get the certifications. Okay, guys. Now, with that, we completed like a cloud computing. Again, I'm recapping. I just want to do a kind of a recap what we discussed and what you have to remember. Always try to remember why cloud computing. What is the necessity of bringing it in? Okay, into the business. So you're supposed to answer for that question at least like a 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, make 7 layer structure. Second thing is remember about the PaaS, IaaS, SaaS, okay, and try to understand clearly. Again, make a 7 layer structure, okay, on each and every term. And the third thing is security, okay. Again, make a 7 layer structure. How a cloud computing is maintaining the data, okay. So these are the key things you guys need to take to your home to work on. Now, from here onwards your real what I can say, the kind of effort will start, okay, because without understanding the data warehousing concepts you cannot work on the data integration part, because data integration is part of the data warehousing. Okay, if I look at like a data warehousing like maybe 10,000 foot height, okay, so it looks like a very high level, it looks like a 3 layered architecture. One is source, and then the next one is data integration, and third one is, maybe I'll reframe my statement. One is source, and second one is kind of a transformation, and the third thing is kind of a reporting. So what is the high level means? Means you are having some data somewhere, okay, and you are trying to transform the data so that it will be used for the business. And the third thing is you are presenting the data to the business. Maybe it's kind of a very vague answer I gave, okay, but in very simple terms I mentioned. Now we need to understand in detailed fashion. It's not like a cloud computing, guys. Again, I'm stressing on it. Cloud computing, I just mentioned, okay, very basic things because it's only for your understanding. But data warehousing is not for your understanding. Data warehousing is a kind of a bread and butter for you going forward. Okay. Now, just focus on these concepts very clearly so that like these questions definitely will be asked in interview. These terminologies definitely used in day-to-day projects. These, without understanding these terms, you cannot deliver any project. Now, try to understand data warehouse. Maybe I'll see, guys. Every day it's kind of a 1 hour, 15 minute session. Okay, think in that fashion. Okay, and don't think like taking extra time. Is that fine with everyone? Because first 5 minutes like we're spending on recapping or like answering the questions, right? Maybe I will try to utilize that 15 minutes of time, extra time, to complete my subject. Okay, fine. Data warehouse. So what is this term, data warehouse? For example, like you just completed your graduation and you never heard this term. Okay, before going to the data warehouse, first try to understand what is the data first. What is the data? Anyone? What is the data? What is the information? Can anyone give live example? What exactly meaning of a data? Because I've been talking about the security, privacy, maintenance, all this stuff, right? But what is the data? First of all, why we need to maintain it? Think, just give like a 10 seconds. When I'm asking, just think, okay? No need to give to answer to me. At least think yourself. So, what is the record? What will be there in the record? Your past behavior. No, don't bring that words. Think as a layman person. You don't know anything about the computers. Think in that way. Right. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Now let me put in my way. Someone mentioned, right, everything is data. That's correct. Whatever you think of, whatever is coming in your brain, even whatever I'm talking now, everything is data. But it's all depends how you look at it. That's how you will make it as a business. For example, I am using these words, I am using the statements. Okay, I am making a business. What kind of a business? Training business. And you are listening these statements. You are making a kind of a learning business. Okay, for your job. For example, the same way, if I record this someplace or if I capture these statements and put it in some place, then also it's a kind of a business. Okay, maybe we'll use for the YouTube or like somewhere else, right? Everything in this world is a business. Oh, sorry, everything in this world is a data. Whatever it is, think like any perspective, everything is a data. Now, look at the business oriented. Okay, let's take a financial businesses. How data looks like in financial business. Earlier, maybe I don't know whether you remember it or not. In my father age, okay, so in my father age, people used to go to the bank by holding a passbook. I never experienced this thing. Maybe I experienced, but I at that time I didn't went to banks. But like I still remember, my dad used to go to a bank by holding a passbook. There, a person used to write, okay, or like the person used to enter the details in a passbook. I don't know how many of you remember this thing. In the banks, I'm saying it. They used to have like a big books, and by looking into their books, they used to write the data on your passbooks. Now, thing got changed. That is what the data. But like maintaining those many books is like a kind of a crucial thing, right? Maintaining those many books, that's a crucial thing, even for any business. But still, they managed it. The reason they managed it because the number of the users who are going to the banking was like very less. Then it's managed, and they have their own systems and they managed it. But in 1990s, when the computerization started, okay, people started using the computers. Then this data used to stored in a computers instead of a notebooks. Then that data is turned into a kind of an information. When you're writing it in the notes, it's called like kind of a data. But the data is stored in a certain format. In computer, right? It's not like a writing in a notebook. You have to put in a proper structure, proper order. When you're trying to put it in a proper order, it will become kind of an information. Okay, fine. The next thing, what is the next level of information? The next level of information is making that data, information in the form of analysis, or in the form of a analytical oriented data. Then that data, that kind of a data is used for decision making. Maybe the best example, when, for example, a function is going in my home. Okay, there is so much information in my mind. Okay, I need to call that guy, I need to call this guy, I need to order the so and so things, or like I need to get the groceries. When everything is in your brain, it's just like a kind of a plain data. But when you're trying to put that information in a pen and paper, it's called a data. Okay, when you're trying to understand the data by separating it and putting in the right formats and separating the kind of event wise or like a section wise, then that information is going to help me to take decisions. Like what? So many people are coming. Then number based on number of the people, I'll order the groceries. It's a decision oriented data. Try to understand. Raw data, maybe now I'm using the technical terms. Raw data, there is no meaning for this one. Just a data. Even if I give you the data right now, you'll understand. raw data. Next thing is information. Okay, a proper structured information. It is a kind of a structured information. It is useful at least. Okay, and but you cannot take any decisions. The last thing is analytical data. Okay, so this information is used for taking a decision. Very, 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 very important, guys. Raw data, structured data, analytical data. Raw data is a simple thing. There is no use, just maintaining, that's it. Structured data, it is used for querying purposes. Means just you can query and see the data for a particular given entity. Okay, but analytical data, this is not for the day-to-day usage. This is only to take a decisions. You got it? Any questions, guys? Very, very, very important. If you don't understand this thing, the entire concept is lost. Any questions on this one? Okay, now fine. Now, I gave the example of a banking sector, right? Initially, they used to maintain the data in a notebooks, then they turned into computers, then they moved into a different segment. Now, think of the same revolution. Sorry, not a revolution, evolution, in fact. So, this evolution, books turned into computers, and the computers turned into tablets, tablets turned into cloud. Okay, maybe it's evolution, but like now, look into the data perspective. The kind of an records. Okay, maybe I'll use start using the word as a record. Record means a particular entry, whatever you did in the book, right? People started using the computers and they put it in the databases. Okay, another term, database. This database, right, this collection of a rows and columns in the form of tables, right? Then it's called a database. But even you need to understand the evolution in the database also. Like initially, there are no relationships. Simply, the people used to maintain the data in a simply tabular format. Later on, relationships started building. You need to understand the kind of constraints. Okay, primary key, foreign key. Just make a note of all these things. Okay, please make a note: primary key, foreign key, relationships, table relationships. Okay, try to understand these points and make that seven-layered relationships on this one also. So when you are maintaining the relationships between the table, you are building a kind of a linkage from one table to another table. Okay, I'll give an example. I do have my account in ICICI Bank. Okay, I do have an account in ICICI Bank, but my account is kind of a nil now. But I want to pay a car loan payment, EMI payment. How am the bank is going to take a decision? Right, because I put like auto pay. How bank is knowing whether the amount has to be deducted on so and so time? Because there should be some kind of a linkage between these two. That's called a kind of a relational databases. Okay. Now I came from notebooks to regular general database without any relation. Now I'm in a stage of maintaining relationships. Even this is good, but this information is only for the clerical users. You know what is a clerical user? I'm going to the bank, I'll ask, hey man, is my loan amount got deducted? Okay, then he will say no. Then I'll ask why. Then he has to join both the tables on which day the loan amount is requested and which day the amount is nil. Without joining these two tables, I will not get the data, right? So this is only clerical use. But if I are you going to ask the same thing to CEO of the bank? No, right? No one will go and ask the CEO, hey, how much amount you got deducted? What the CEO is supposed to get answered, or like what kind of a questions will get to the CEO or like a managing directors? They will get a questions like, are you going to open any new branch? Are you going to come up with any kind of new innovations? Are you going to come up to increase your customer base? For these kind of a questions, you need to have a different kind of a data. That data has to be a kind of an analytical based data. To build such kind of a data, you're building a data warehouse. Okay.